AfterBuzzers, you are watching Season 5, Episode 9 of the Veep After Show. Tonight, we finally find out who the winner is. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Gang's all here.
Yeah, we did it.
Reunited, baby. Such a good episode tonight. So much information, and we finally see the film.
Yes, finally. I'm so happy we got to see it. I didn't
know.
think we were.
Me either, so I'm glad. I thought it was going to be a lot worse, though.
Yeah.
But it
a
was
lot
not bad.
worse than that?
Yeah,
All
I
right,
really
we'll
did.
chat.
Yes. Before we get into it, be sure to follow us all on Twitter at AfterBuzz TV, Instagram, Snapchat as well. Tweet us with your favorite lines of the show and what you think. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at April Whisenhant.
And you can find me at Nadine DP and the number 3.
And you can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
Okay, so we got a lot of info tonight. But before we talk about the actual voting day, let's talk about Catherine's film. So I thought it was going to be a lot worse in the sense of we've seen her capture some rough, like we all throughout the season we're like, oh gosh, you see her filming these terrible moments that no one should find out about. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was going to be a little more of that sprinkled in there, but it wasn't.
I mean, the fact that she was in the closet when her mom was having sex.
I would die.
Like how, why would she hide? Why wouldn't she just leave the room when she heard them coming and be like, oh, sorry?
Well, I don't know, because she heard them in the other, she wasn't supposed to be in a room or something like that, I think.
She got to the room before they did and they kind of hid in the closet to kind of document it and then realized, uh-oh,
you know
busy.
what? I don't care. If I start to hear that with anyone, I'm going to be like, sorry, no.
Just
but April, so you hide in the room, all of a sudden your parents come in there and they start going to town.
I'm not going to stay in there. I'm going to get out before they start anything real.
I kind of agree with that too, but I feel like in the moment you're just so terrified. Like you don't want, especially Selina being your mom.
Yeah.
You do not want her knowing that you even had any type of feelings,
That is a guaranteed traumatization. That's not a word, I know, but for life.
But then what if, your parents see you, it spoils the mood, and then all of a sudden your parents can't, they're ready to have some
I don't
fun.
think
That's all right. I don't care
You're all about
spoiled
your
the
parents
mood.
having a good time.
Care about your parents. They've done so much for you, April.
Well, you know what?
Just be quiet in the closet.
I would just sit there
Go where you belong, April, okay?
I love her reaction, though, because she's just like, no. But she kept filming the whole time. So that's basically like a porno of the presidency.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
Nothing
that's why
you can see,
I
but-
can't believe she put that in there. I get everything else, but you're going to put that in? Of your mom having sex who's the president?
I know.
Are you an idiot? Are
She
you
could
dumb?
have cut after you hear the kissing or whatever, because they're talking and they're like, you wanted to me. He's like, sure I did, and then there's kissing and then some other stuff.
Yep.
But she could have just cut right there.
Keep going.
Oh, sure. I mean, I guess the one thing that we don't know is certainly in the chronology of the show, when this documentary was finally released. Even though they're showing it right now because it takes place at this time, we don't actually when it was all cut together, released. It could be several years after the fact, after even Tom, if Tom continues the office, after Selina's been in office and out, maybe this is released. So it doesn't have as much of a fallout for them at the time.
Well, I hope that maybe next week we see that. Maybe next week we see them all after they viewed it, and then they're all just in shock, and everything comes out and everything comes to play.
Yeah, I want to shout out to Lois Elfman on Twitter. She tweeted us last week that next week's episode, the finale, is actually called inauguration or something like that. So we were wondering if we were going to see who was going to be president and if we were going to find that out this season, and obviously we will. So thanks for the help, Lois.
Yeah.
It seems, I almost think that it was probably, well, no, that makes sense. I was going to say, I feel like it was released right after because we obviously see the House of Representatives vote and everything in there. But yeah, I guess it would probably make more sense.
Because I can't imagine these people, if they're still active in the Washington political arena, would say all right, cool, release this film. They would do everything in their power to make sure that this thing it wouldn't hurt any of their political possibilities while they're currently active in Washington.
Yeah, because everybody, it makes them look bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone. Even Catherine, it makes her look bad. She's in, why would she? That's why I was a little confused with the documentary. I think part of it, I was like, okay, this is actually it. And then whenever the camera was still rolling and she was taking someone's mic off and stuff, I was like, wait, is that just like extra bonus or is that actually part of the film?
Right. Like, did she put? Well, it seems like she was still filming because well, I guess the whole thing was the film, but you can kind of tell when they like cut to something, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm like, who just leaves their camera sitting on? Like when you're
she's
doing
so
something
sneaky.
else.
She has her mother's blood in her.
Yeah, she
something's
does.
happening.
And what I loved was seeing scenes that we've seen earlier in the season, but then like the continuations and the extending of those scenes, especially with Mike in the meeting, doubling back in, and then realizing, yep, there was another meeting that was taking place just after Mike had left the room again.
Wait, did we know that they were like super serious about firing Mike? I did not know that.
No, this
Okay,
one came out
like,
this episode.
Yeah. I mean,
was-
they've always chatted about how Mike sucks, but just how everyone else sucks too.
Yeah.
But
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, did I miss something? Because I know that they've, obviously, just like you said bad things. But so we know that they're looking to fire Mike now, and they're all just talking about how much of an idiot he is and how terrible he is at his job. But then it's like cut to Mike, and he's like, it's just a job that I keep getting better and better at, and I'm like,
It's oblivious, clueless to everything happening.
Although I feel like he's ready to jump ship because he was trying to get that hockey position there, and that fell through for him. So then
Surprisingly.
so then he's doing women's golf after that. But so I feel like if something else opened up, he would jump.
Yeah.
I want to know who hired him. Who got him?
Selina.
Did she actually hire him? Like, who got him into this? Because during the vice presidency, even, or was he just a tag along from another vice presidency? Or
I don't know.
I wonder.
A shout out, a former Auburn grad, Auburn's where I went to college, was the actual real life press secretary for a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
Just in case y'all wanted to know
Go
that.
Auburn! Yeah.
we see a lot of Mike's. That's the thing that I loved about tonight's episode was that we obviously saw like deeper into the scenes we've already seen, but we also got a little more background on people. Like Kent is in a motorcycle gang.
I love that. It's so weird and so unexpected.
And
he's
took
Spanish
He
too.
took Catherine with him. But Kent would be in a largely Spanish-speaking motorcycle gang.
Would he though? I don't know. I never saw that being a part of his day to day.
Well, they used to show him doing Pilates.
Yeah.
So Pilates, motorcycle gang, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Goes together.
Same thing, right?
Yeah. The part of Mike's backstory that I liked seeing the most, though, was the whole baby process. Because remember, so they were trying to get the baby from China, but then the Chinese sanctions happened, so he couldn't get the baby. So then he changed it to the man cave, the baby's room. He's having this whole conundrum with the lead paint too. But lead paint is not still a thing, right?
I don't know.
Well, you can't like currently paint with lead paint.
But you still have
to
to check for lead in some places, especially older homes and things like that.
I live in an older apartment. I hope they check for lead. Now
I'm
I'm
sure they
scared.
Yeah.
I
think it's just really terrifying for babies. You're okay now.
Just eat
You'll
some of the
be
paint
okay.
and see how you feel.
And just
Okay.
lick it.
That's a good idea. I'll just
See if you pass out or anything.
So it's on him to do this whole lead paint check, but then they find out that his wife is in fact pregnant. So then they convert the man cave to the baby's room again, and then the Chinese sanctions are lifted, and they're having twins. Or no, is his wife having twins?
The surrogate is
The
having
surrogate
twins.
is having twins.
Yep.
Sorry, and. Oh, and now they're getting the baby from China as well. So they have 3 kids and have to move the baby's room up to the master. And now the first nursery, then man cave, now is their master bedroom.
Gosh, that looks like a terrifyingly tiny place to live in
Yes.
with Mike.
I just feel so bad for Mike. Like, he's helped Selina with so much. And I mean, he may be a little
Has he
off.
helped? Has he really helped though? Or has he made things
Sometimes.
worse?
Still gotta check about that lead though. Still
Yeah.
gotta check about.
Still hasn't.
As he's in there laying in bed, he's like, oh, what?
Mm.
The moment when he walked in on the interview, I forget the guy's name who Selina was interviewing, but he's like, does he know that I'm taking his job? And he has no idea. He's like, what's up, man? You're here for an interview?
Yeah.
I just have a feeling now it's not going to matter, I guess.
No.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's just gonna keep Mike isn't going anywhere. They're gonna keep Mike on.
Yeah.
You know, so like he's a huge part of the team, huge part of the show. I don't think he's leaving. I haven't heard any news that he's leaving anytime soon. So.
Well, I guess we'll get into it obviously, but everyone's jobs are potentially just up in the air.
Oh yeah.
We also see when the first interaction between Marjorie and Catherine tonight.
Crazy.
And I love so I don't even know, well, I guess she's just kind of interviewing everybody, but, because I was going to say, I don't know why she's interviewing her, 'cause she just started, probably doesn't know that much, but it's very, cut and dry, her questions, so, I don't know. How many men have you killed? I can't tell you. Do you think my mom's a good president? Silence.
Silence, right?
Like, yes. And we see Marjorie ask her out, and Catherine's like, oh, but I like boys. She's like, well, I just thought because the way you dress and you stare at me that you liked me.
Yeah.
But we'd seen that she had kind of been staring at Marjorie throughout the thing.
Yeah, she's the one that kept saying hi and doing all that stuff because Marjorie just laser focused on Selina and then was getting sidetracked. But that's why I thought that Catherine would have been the first. I was surprised that Marjorie asked her out. I thought it would have been the other way around.
Well, Catherine always said she didn't know that she was a lesbian, and now she just knows.
Because Marjorie told her that she is because of the way she dresses.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness.
Marjorie even takes her home to Montana.
But that does not go well.
No. So I guess Marjorie hadn't told her parents that, because she's like, this is my friend Catherine. So maybe she hadn't told them she was gay, period.
Yeah, no.
Seems so weird. Like, why would you deliberately bring her back and without being out to your parents yet?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about that during the episode, and if maybe it's, well, I guess it probably is different for guys, but if I went home now and took a friend home with me, like, that's not weird. So I guess because for a second I was like, oh, aren't her parents gonna ask? But my parents would be like, oh, that's her friend, of course, she wants to like travel with her friend.
Yeah.
That's just like a thing that girls do. Do guys do that?
Well, no, but true. But I'm thinking if you were also in a relationship and you'd come out to your parents and then you go home with your girlfriend and it's like she's not out to them and you're like, what am I doing?
And she was like the leader of it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh?
Well, I think Catherine was just what's it called? Like sideswipes with it. Like didn't know it was coming. Thought she was going there as her girlfriend. And I think that's the conversation they had. And then I think Marjorie probably just froze in that moment and didn't know what to do. So that's what happened.
Yeah. And then they have the scene where Catherine is talking to Selina or interviewing her. She starts crying because she says that she and Marjorie got into a huge fight and they broke up. And Selina, brings her over and coddles her. She's like, you look terrible. Oh, you look, as Catherine's sobbing.
Oh my God, that's the worst comfort I've ever seen from a mother-daughter. Like, I would hate that. If my mom didn't, just was like, let me wipe your
she literally
goo off of me. Like, oh, goodness, poor girl. That's why she has all these issues. And that's why she doesn't know right from wrong with this video.
She's like, do you need a tissue? Yes, you need a tissue.
Yeah.
But even like that, for Selina, I guess that was her as much as she feel like she could comfort. That is her version. But then when they start the interview up again and Catherine starts breaking down, she's over it. And by that, Selina's like, Catherine, you got to get it together. Like, she gave her that one sliver of just like her version of comfort. But then after that, no.
Yeah.
No more crying.
Yeah.
It would be weird, I guess, if we saw her giving more comfort than that.
Yeah. Well, because it was interesting because earlier in one of the interviews that she did, she says about negative thoughts or negative things. She puts it in this little tiny box. Yeah. She stores it little all the way in the back and swallows the key. And so that's her motto for life. I think her mom taught her. So that's what she's giving to
She's like,
Catherine.
it really does work.
Yeah, that's what she's giving to Catherine. So poor girl.
And speaking of her mom, you actually get to see some of the interaction between her and her mom.
That was hilarious.
Are you going to wait till your hair grows up before you get your presidential portrait painted?
She's like, it's like every child loves to impress their parents, of course. Like, still when I go home, I'll do my dancing moves for my mom because I'm like, look, I still remember, because dancing
moves.
Wait,
what are these dancing moves?
Old dances.
We have to see this after. We need to see these dancing moves.
I still remember the Missy Mix from 8th grade.
Okay,
and my mom just sits there. She's like, you are ridiculous. But you always want to impress
your parents.
Your idea of impressing your parents is doing dances you did in 8th grade as opposed to anything you're doing currently in your life. No, I can still do these dances in 8th grade.
She already knows about that stuff.
Showing her memory's still working.
I sing for her, all that kind of stuff.
Songs I used to sing when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah. Perfect.
Casual.
So Catherine is telling her mom about this is the Resolute desk. FDR uses that. Now I'm using it. And that's all she has to say.
Yeah, you figure taking your parent into the Oval Office, that is the ultimate. I can't even think of anything that'd be really much cooler than that. Hey, this is my office right there. What trumps that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think
maybe
anything.
A space shuttle.
I swear on my life, I was gonna say if he went to space.
That actually is. Maybe it's the truth then.
That's the only thing that one ups that. But so I kind of, it's like a generational thing. Obviously, Selina's mom rubbed off on her, and then Selina's probably gonna rub off on Catherine too. Even though Catherine's so that was
whimsical.
Sorry to anyone listening.
Is this when your dance moves you did for your mom?
No, I just did a sway and that was my adjective. She's very
yeah, just out there.
Yeah. I don't know.
What I love those for Julia Louis-Dreyfus is just those moments there, like when she's telling Catherine about her dad and her going to Nixon's inauguration, and his dad breaking down what Nixon was like. Oh, a lot of people don't like him, but by God, they respect him, just like you, Peanut. And then you just see her face, just realizing like, wait a second, oh. Maybe a lot of people, just her reactions and just the way that she would take in things. Nice.
Whenever she said, just like you, Peanut, I thought she was talking to Catherine. I was like, what?
Yeah, no.
But that makes a lot more sense, obviously.
But I thought that line was interesting because nobody respects her and nobody likes her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like she didn't really achieve anything that her dad said she was going to set out to achieve in a sense. I know.
I thought it was a sweet story, though. I mean, like, of course, of all people, it's Nixon.
Yeah, but like, but you tell your young daughter that back at not a lot of people like you.
Oh, no. I thought
That's
it was a sweet story in the sense of, like, how she... or the moment she decided she wanted to become president. Like, she went to the inaugural ball and saw him with his mustache and everything, I think she said.
Yeah, that's
It was a sweet
mustache. And his eyebrows. His eyebrows.
Yeah. Who else did we... Oh, I loved the part with Gary where I guess she had asked him, like, what do you think about the financial crisis? But he's just showing her how to make his tea, but he won't give her, like, all the tricks. Which any good... cook, I guess, if you're making tea or cook, kind of. No, you don't give away the secret.
No, you don't do that.
I didn't know you should heat up a tea kettle or the teapot. You put a lot of hot water.
Hot in the pot?
Yeah.
Hot the pot.
Yeah.
Now I know how to hot the pot.
There you go.
It's great.
But I also love the scene that we see after they've had Tom and Selena have sex. We cut to the office the next day, and he's getting the couch removed from that.
Because he also walked in, remember?
That's why he's doing it.
Yes.
Duh.
He also walked in and saw them, which Selena doesn't think anybody saw. So that's why I think next episode something's gonna happen with this documentary, and everyone's just gonna be like at each other about it.
I think so too.
It's gonna be weird.
I forgot. I'm like, why is he wanting to get rid of this couch so much?
We gotta get it out of here.
That was hilarious. When Catherine does tell Gary, she's like, I was asking you about the financial crisis. I love how he says, oh, I think they just ran out of money. Yeah. And they should probably just print more. I don't know why they don't.
So wait, that's like what a majority of people just believe is that people just print money, you know? And like, why can't you just get more? They don't realize that it's all based off of something.
Whenever I was young, I remember having a thought, probably, like, definitely young enough to not know anything about the government. So, like, you know, second-ish grade, let's say, probably a little older.
8th grade while you're dancing.
Basically. But I remember having that exact thought. I was like, why don't they just print more money? I don't understand.
Yeah, it just makes more sense. Hey, if you're out, just make more.
Yeah, let's get more debt.
I guess I have a little Gary in me. I don't know.
If I'm out of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I just make another one.
Yeah. No, it's
There
a
you
valid thought. Valid second grade thought.
Thank you.
For sure.
At least I was thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Dan and Amy, we don't see too much of, but Dan, they have a little moment in the hallway where Amy is seemingly about to ask him out, and he's like, oh God, I wish your sister would stop calling, or tell your sister to stop calling me.
Yeah.
And then he picks it up. He's like, hey girl.
Yeah, he secretly loves it. I think he's just throwing it in her face. I think that's Dan just like doing the young kid where you're mean to the person you like.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening with Dan and Amy is that he does really like her, but he thinks like that pushing her to the side is gonna get her more into him.
But if they got together, how long do you think that relationship would really last?
No, it wouldn't.
No.
It couldn't.
Well, they used to date, or they went on like 3 dates.
Yeah.
A long time ago, obviously.
I can't imagine more than 2 months. And then I think it would just blow up.
They're both just so like,
Yeah,
all
that's
the
like a
time.
relationship I don't want to see flourish at all. I don't want them to be together.
No.
Very
Like,
true.
you know.
Well, sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't.
Yeah,
Definitely
no.
not. So let's get to the most important part of the night. It's the oh no, I forgot something.
Oh no! I thought it was going to be the most important part. My most important part of the night was the behind the scenes of Jonah's making that video for his campaign with the chopping wood. Holy cow, that was fantastic!
I loved that because he's just like this.
Yeah.
Work. And then Richard goes and does it in one try. He's like, oh, it works fine.
Yeah, but the fact that it was Richard, though, I thought they were going to get like some crew guy to come on and, you know, whack it down. Little Richard.
Richard was fantastic in this episode. I
was
loved him.
so funny.
Hilarious.
Oh.
The final moment where they're like, where do you see yourself in however many years? And Jonah's like, as the president. He's like, Galapagos Island. I just see myself close to the sun.
I've already bought 2 tickets. I don't know who the other's for.
That's why I assume I'll be coupled up by then.
That's why I think that I loved this episode so much and I thought it was so funny is because of him.
Yeah.
All of his lines and every scene he was in, I was laughing, and we all were. We were all laughing out loud to it. So.
He's become my like new favorite standout character.
Yeah.
It actually used to be, well, Gary obviously was my standout, But even though all the writing and the writing for everyone is good on this show, especially well, Selina, Gary, like all the people that are meant to be hilarious, they really are. But Richard this season has just he's come out with it,
stepped it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. He just likes to be close to the sun.
But he and Jonah are in a pickle because Jonah slept with some Congress fangirl, I think, and is late for the vote. It's the day of the vote. He has to be there for New Hampshire.
And it gets worse and worse because it feels like she was supposed to be in college, but then we find out that she's just in high school, maybe.
Oh, God. It's
barely 18,
He took a suit from her dad's
and it's all on film. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Is this is all like that's bad news.
Richard's filming it, and then so Richard goes and picks them up. They run into a stop sign, almost hit some school kids. Jonah's like, I don't care if you hit the school kids.
I can't get an Uber because I have such a low user rating.
I wonder if that's actually possible.
Yeah, I think so.
But so he ends up making it there after lots and lots of turmoil. And the whole vote is happening. This was probably my favorite part of the episode, being from Alabama, whenever they're like, Alabama's the first state, and they vote for Selina, but they say, like, they're like, oh, it should be their last and everything else.
Yeah.
But I forget what they said, but I was like,
Yeah,
shout
first
out.
for the vote, but last and everything else. And
Yeah.
you were just cracking up and smiling.
I'm like, shout out to the home state?
The home state.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But so it seems like it's going okay, but then we have these 3 states that end up abstaining, and it kind of just kills it. So we've been thinking all season, we've gone back and forth, but I definitely thought it was going to end up with her being the president. But after, once they get to the end, I think they're around like Washington or something like that, they realize there's no way she can win. So if Tom James is, if neither of them win, if neither her or Bill O'Brien win, then it goes to Senate picking between Tom James and Laura, something like that. I forgot her name. But she ends up wanting Jonah to vote for Bill O'Brien instead because she knows that she can run against him in 4 years, because Tom James could be president for 12 years because his first term would count as an elevated vice presidency, which is good to know, actually.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either. But, of course, he doesn't get the call in time, and he votes for Selina, and presidency is essentially null and void. Neither of them win.
It's such a I did not think it was going to go this direction, and it was interesting to think because after they slept together, I mean, you really weren't sure what Tom's agenda was after that point.
Yeah.
And you thought like, and they never really addressed it in the subsequent episodes. So I mean, clearly he had not changed his mind about any of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be, and I think because we saw a preview for next week, obviously, which kind of spoiled it, but he's basically offering Selina now the vice presidency. So I don't know if that's a joke or not.
Well, remember
if
he
it's
said
serious.
that before. He was like, when they first found out that there was the tide and the Nevada stuff, he was like, or I could make you vice president. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know. I think it's kind of legit. Do you want to talk about predictions?
Oh, sure, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Because there it is.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ
Only
TV.
one episode left.
It's true.
I think we can go ahead and say that obviously this Laura chick is not going to win. It's going to be Tom. But tell me what y'all think. My mind's all over the place.
I mean, I think that I didn't want it to go like this because I thought that she was either going to get the presidency, but if she got it, I was like, okay, where's the storyline? But then if they go back to her being vice president, which it looks like they're doing now, it's just taking a step back in the show. And she's just going to keep trying to become president again? Like, it's the exact same story.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm confused. I really don't know where the show's going to go, but I do think next episode we are going to see the reactions, or at least I hope, from everyone about the documentary.
Yeah, I mean, I could see why Selina at least wanted to try to throw away her chance at presidency and give it to O'Brien just for that chance for running. But just realistically, I mean, I don't think, Hugh Laurie's going to be with the series for how many more seasons or anything like that.
Right.
So, and he's not the focus of the show. It's, Selina Meyer. So to see her just kind of be Veep again, it's just, I agree with Nadine. It just seems like, well, why are we retreading this ground again?
Well, even when she was Veep, obviously she was still the center of the show because it's about her. But I completely agree with you both, but I'm like hoping that there's still a way out of it somehow. Because the thing, I think but I don't know how this would end up with Selina being president. That's the big question, but we still don't know about the lobbyist thing. So I'm like, ooh, could Tom get caught having done like illegal business with them and and could that somehow lead back to Selina being the president?
Who knows? I don't know.
I
It's
don't
gonna be
know
weird.
how, because she lost the vote anyway.
Yeah.
This the Congress vote, so I don't know.
But I felt like all her work so far, like especially like last episode of Camp David and stuff, and what she
Yeah.
did with the Chinese, that I didn't realize she was that far behind O'Brien. I mean, it was 25 to 22. I didn't realize that. I thought it seemed more evenly matched, especially as you're going throughout the season. It seemed like every time she kind of falls, she'd end up gaining ground again. So to see that it was that far behind, I was like, wow. all
I don't
right.
know. It's confusing. Only one more episode left, though, y'all.
Yes.
Crazy.
There's time gone.
Okay, everyone, thanks for joining us. As always, you can find us all at AfterBuzz TV. Be sure to comment on the link because we want to know what you thought about the episode and what you predict for the finale. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at April Whisenhant.
Thanks for watching, guys. You can find me at Nadine DP and the number 3.
You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
And see y'all next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.